Good morning, everyone. I've got my coffee here this morning. Still drinking my pumpkin spice with a little liquid creamer in it. It's got a caramel flavor, so pumpkin spice and caramel. Okay, it's not normal, but I'm not, so that's okay. Anyhow, today I just want to do my weekly update. There's a lot of stuff going on in the world. We got to make sure we're not distracted by it. We have a job to do. And I think I'm going to have to do a video here soon on how to properly carry Jesus with you out into the world. You've got to be smiling, and I'm having problems with my mustache because it's hard to tell I'm smiling if my mustache is in an upside down frown type thing. So I'm probably going to cut this off. I don't know. I might even have some of this in here. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out what to do. I don't like the same look in the face in the mirror every morning, so I change constantly. So that's something you have to get used to. My appearance will change. Some of it naturally, some of it artificial. In any case, we'll cover that in maybe the next video of how to represent the Lord out when you're out. But for now, we're just going to do a weekly update. We have, wars and rumors of wars. Pakistan and India are now fighting. These areas, if we weren't involved, they've been fighting forever. The Muslims have been fighting amongst themselves forever. They don't have God, our God. They don't have Jesus. They don't have salvation. So they're running on the whims of the devil. They're doing what they think is right from the world point of view, and it's, of course, never going to be good with God. But they're launching missiles at each other. The problem that we got to keep in mind with these two countries specifically is they have nukes, both of them. Now, if ever one gets pushed into the corner, no one's going to want to come out with a nuke right off the bat, except for Iran. Iran said as soon as they get a nuke, they're going to launch them. They hate Israel, they hate the United States. They will launch as many nukes as they can put together and do as much damage and kill as many people as they can, because if you're not a radical left, right, or whatever the version is, a radical Shiite Muslim that believes fully in the Sharia law, you're an infidel, and according to their Quran, you should be killed. So they're religious, following their religious belief from someone who was 600 years after Christ. And he talks about Jesus. He's not an eyewitness. Most of the world religions don't have too many eyewitnesses of the founder. And even if they do, the founder doesn't, except for Christianity, doesn't say he was God. Okay. So keep an eye on them because they need to basically knock it off. But they haven't liked each other forever. And why they just decided they're probably having economic problems. And we know that war is always a good way to get your economy going, because you can then spend money. The government can spend money that it doesn't have. That's one of the reasons our national debt started rising, is because of wars. We got income tax because of war. Get as much money as you can. And it's one of the reasons I firmly believe that the Kennedys were shot, not only were they going off to organized crime, but organized crime was making money off of the war too. Johnson, the president, Lyndon B. Johnson, he had a company that was making ammunition for Vietnam, and they ended the war. He didn't like that. Evil. We've got so much evil in this country that we need to, as Christians, pray constantly that it be stopped. And if you believe in prayers, which I do, if you're praying for something for God, you're guaranteed to get it. If you're praying for something for yourself as a personal gain, God may give it to you, like a father might give a toy to a kid. But you want to guarantee stuff, be doing stuff for God. God, we can't keep our church doors open because they're persecuting us. God will step in. Unfortunately, there's too many churches that caved to COVID and gave in, which is the apostasy we're in now. It's not so much the world apostasy, it's the church apostasy. Okay, Trump's got an agreement with the Houthis to stop bombing them because they said they'll stop shooting at ships. But they still kept their missiles, and they've still got a bunch of them. And they've been lobbing them at Israel. They got ballistic missiles, which will go 1,000 miles, or 2,000 miles, whatever it is. With Israel attacking Yemen, that proves to Iran that they can go a long ways and attack, because the Houthis are down here in Yemen, just curve the arc up and Iran's over here, or maybe here. So it's the same distance. It proves to Iran that they can attack Iran. And it looks like that's the only thing that's going to stop them, short of the Antichrist coming in and stopping them. Because they're still enriching. They're still doing what they're doing. Trump said you have to dismantle your nuclear program. We have two ways to do it. The easy way and the hard way. It's your choice. Okay, back it up now, Trump. So, Trump's got a short-term agreement. Everything is short-term when it comes to the Middle East wars. Short-term agreement with the Houthis in Yemen. But Israel just had a bomb or a missile launched and land near their airport. It was outside the airport, but it was launched in that general direction, and it shut the airport down. So they're in bombing now. Now, I don't mind taking turns bombing until we eliminate them, but you've got to cut the snake's head off. We're still fighting Vietnam-style, Korean War-style war. That's Kitty in the other room causing trouble because he doesn't want to be locked up. But I could tell from his actions this morning that he was going to be a problem. I may let him out at the very end just so you can see him. But if not, I've got plenty of videos of him and he's doing fine. So, Israel doesn't like the fact that the United States is backing down. Trump doesn't want to be known for starting a war, especially World War III. He's trying to bring peace through negotiation. The problem with the Middle East is these guys are completely insane, radical, religious fanatics. Everything that the world says Christians are. This is what the Muslims really, truly are. Now, the people of Iran don't want what's going on. The people of Gaza, for the most part, don't want it. But Hamas is in there. So Israel says that they're going to completely occupy Gaza. They've tried to stay back and let the Gazans stay there. But Hamas keeps using them. They keep taking and stealing their supplies so they can stay alive. They're still trying to send in arms and ammunition, and they've still got tunnels that they haven't found. The only way to get rid of them is just to purge the entire country. This is what Trump said. We're going to take over the entire area, clean it up, purge it out, and then not let the bad guys back in. That's going to be a harder deal. The only way to not let the bad guys back in is cut the head of the snake off. They have to eliminate Iran's ability to keep supplying military aid to these countries. So, Trump's trying to negotiate. You can only negotiate with somebody who has, like you, is fair-minded and wants to have a mutual agreement. But if I'm going to kill you, that's my whole goal in life, is to kill you. Now let's negotiate. Is there room for negotiation? Maybe you're not going to kill me, you're just going to mortally wound me, and I'm just going to lay in a deathbed for the rest of my life. You see, it's absurd to think that you can negotiate with people like this. This is the devil. The Muslim religion is the devil's religion. The devil copies everything Jesus did. Everything that God has done throughout history, he copies. The Muslim religion is a copy of Christianity. It's a cheap copy, and since you don't get Christ with it, you will never have the power of God to keep it going. You have the power of Satan to keep it going. And he's got a limited amount of time, and he knows it. So we've got to get out of the way. All right, let's see what's going on. U.S. judges are still trying to block Trump, even though they've been going in and arresting them. They've been arresting them on their own personal bad behavior, not for their rulings. They know that, and they're continuing to rule until the Supreme Court says, you're breaking the law in making these rulings against the president. The court cannot block everything the president of the United States is doing. It's against the law, and it's in our Constitution that he has the power to do what he's doing, and they're ignoring the Constitution, which is what the left loves to do. So until somebody at a higher level court slaps these judges down and makes a couple of examples, the arrests that were made, again, were not made because these people voted against Trump, because they had their own bad behavior. One judge was doing the same thing that she was accusing Trump of doing, lying about her residency. So that's normal to be able to go after that. But they need to go after it for what it really is. Judges, except the Supreme Court, which is a federal overall court, they can vote against the president. And then Congress would have to break the tie. The president votes one way, the judges vote another, and Congress breaks the tie. But the lower courts don't have the ability to do that. The lower courts can only take stuff and submit it to the Supreme Court. They can rule on local jurisdiction stuff, but not the presidency. Basically, a court system is set up in tiers. Wherever the judge is, they can vote on stuff below them. They can't go to the top and usurp power, which is what they're doing. So I'm still waiting for the hammer to come down on the bad behavior that's going on in this country. We've got politicians telling him, this is what you want to do if you want to avoid the feds. She needs to be kicked out of the country as a traitor. I'm not mentioning names, but it's obvious who I'm talking about. Okay, we got black smoke yesterday out of the Vatican. Smoke means that they have voted. It doesn't mean they have an answer, because the black smoke means they don't have a pope. But they've got a vote that they've already taken. One of the problems we've got now, Pope Francis has brought a lot of people up into the tiers so that there's more people voting, more bishops voting than normal. Here comes he's one of our hunters. He's followed by his friend in the other truck. Yep. They go in, they put their boat in the water, they grab their guns, and then they go off and they go someplace hunting. We're a sanctuary here, a proper sanctuary for animals. No hunting here. But once you get outside the park, which is more Federal Department of, I don't know why I can't think of the name. I've been struggling over this for 2 days and it's just not coming in. It's not connecting. But the federal government owns the land and the county leases it for the park. But around us is federal land that you can hunt on. Okay. That was a rabbit again, sorry. So, right now there are 133 bishops voting. Each one has their favorite guy. They need to basically coalesce that down. They're going to have to, everybody's going to have to, you got to have, I think, 89 votes or something to approve the Pope. They need to basically cull this list down. So the cardinals are, I guess I call them bishops, but cardinals, lesser bishops. I'm not a Catholic. As a kid, I did go to catechism as my mother was trying to find what I needed. So that was good. I got the chance to see, and I agree with Billy Graham. He agrees that most Catholics are probably going to get to heaven. They just have a little extra baggage to carry along the way. So I got to see some of the baggage handlers. Now the staff around the Vatican, they're all sworn to secrecy, so you're not going to get an early indication probably unless they want it out. You know, we can't keep secrets in our government because they want stuff out to either further their cause or destroy the cause of the enemy. And they may do that, and the Vatican is not immune to deceitful practices. There are people that work there. So they're going to need to choose, and yeah, I had in here 89 votes in my notes. So I would expect it to take a week anyway, maybe a month. The church is not going to shut down without a pope. The ship will, any large ship, if you start it in motion and you just shut the engines off, it's going to coast for a while in the same direction. So the church will do that. They've got issues to deal with, so they need to have somebody in there, a leader, and there's issues in the world. The question is, will the next pope be the Antichrist? Will he be the false prophet? Will he get behind either one of them? Will he be a Christian? You would think the Pope would be. But people know how to hide behind the trappings of being a Christian. If you go to church, not everybody sitting in those pews are Christians. But they know how to act like one, so they sit there and look like they're a Christian. And you can't tell. So don't even attempt to try. Don't judge. You can tell a tree by its fruit, but you're not going to see bad fruit in church. Okay. Trump says that Iran needs to remove its nuclear production and enriching. It can have nuclear power, but it can't be working on weapons-grade uranium, the enriching, getting that out of their nuclear power plants and enriching it. They can't do that. Everything is underground now for them. They've built massive complexes. You see this all over the proxies. They go underground so they can keep sneaking around doing what they're not supposed to do, according to the world, but they can get away with it because you can't see it. Now we've got bunker busters, but they've prepared for an attack. My suspicion is that there's going to be an accident at a nuclear site. They've been having fires and other things have been destroyed. You know, we know about the big explosion at the port because that was rocket fuel material down there at the port. Same basically like they had in Damascus. Was it Damascus? It's in Lebanon on the port. A few years back, did a lot of damage. This one did a lot of damage. But they're having fires at other places too. That's a tree frog. He's not in my trailer. He's right outside. I try to find where he's at, but as soon as I get up and start walking, he can hear me. I don't have my geese yet. I'm a little early, and it's foggy, so the sun's not doing its bit out there yet. Okay, so there are problems in Iran. The people of Iran do not want the leadership they've got, but the leadership didn't ask them when they took over, and you would need to take them out by force. And they don't go out in public. They stay hidden away unless they've got a full entourage of military capability around them so they can't be taken out. I wouldn't want to be a ruler that had to stay in hiding. But these guys, under the power of Satan, do this, and they run the country the way Satan would run the country. You want to live under Satan in hell? Don't accept Christ, and you're going to get a chance to see what it's like to live in these countries. Only it's going to be wherever hell is, you're going to have that type of government everywhere. Do as I say, no dissension. They're not going to kill you, but they can make your life miserable. The good news, I guess, for those people going to hell is that it's temporary. Everybody in hell is going to go in the lake of fire, which is not temporary. All right. There is a lot of bad things going on around the world. We're trying to fix things here, but things are band-aided together here in the United States, and they could topple at any time. I would not recommend buying anything high-end expensive. I wouldn't recommend buying a new car. One, they're 4 times what they're worth, and they depreciate the minute you drive off the lot anyway. That's always been the case. But now they're so inflated, their value goes down, a lot more. So I wouldn't buy a new car. Plus, I hear what's going on with everybody there are people that have bought new pickups around here. Probably the same with the cars, but I'm in South Georgia and they have pickups. They're all problematic. They all have to be taken back and fixed. I've got people buying new trailer homes. $100,000 for a mobile home, a trailer home that you would tow around. It's not even a double wide, but $100,000 for a tow around trailer. And the one guy took him a year to get all the bugs out of it to where it would be livable, because they're not making things the way they should. One guy's trailer was so bad, they basically, like you would do with a car, they totaled it, towed it, and gave him a new one. The quality of manufacturing is at its worst. The quality is not there. So even if you spend the money, you're not getting your money's worth. Even if you paid the original price before the prices started skyrocketing, if it doesn't work, it's not even worth that. So we've got a housing bubble. Houses are way too expensive. They just built a small little, look like maybe 900 square foot house over here. They got $300,000 price tag on it in rural parts of Georgia. Ridiculous. At best, that's worth maybe $100,000. $300,000. And if the bubble dumps and you've invested in something like that, you've immediately lost money and you're in the red. You're paying for something, you're paying an enormous price for something that's not worth what you're paying for. Because when the housing bubble busts, that $300,000 home will be worth $100,000. So you've got $200,000 invested in something that's not worth $200,000 if you wanted to sell it. Now, if the stock market crashes a little bit, you can ride it out and it'll come back up. Housing takes longer. So I wouldn't be invested in anything major right now. Now, There are always deals to be made. People get into something and they get foreclosed on. There are deals. Somebody dies and the family's selling off all the stuff and they just want to get as much money quickly as they can. Quickly is the key. So if you come in with $100,000 and say, I'll buy this house for that, they might sell it for that even though it's worth 2 or 3. Opportunities you can make. The rich people love it when we crash, because now they can take their billions of dollars and come in and just buy. And then they make money by renting it back or selling it back. Typically, renting is the way to go. But you got to know what you're doing. You don't buy a piece of junk, rent it without fixing it, and not know how to fix it yourself. If you got to start hiring people to come in, my best recommendation, if you're going to buy a rental and then keep it rented and try to use that as income property, do it through a real estate agent. They're responsible for it. They take 20%, but that's a better deal than you being responsible if you don't know how to do things. If you can't fix things, you don't want to do it. And even at that, it's a headache. And if you've got more than one piece of property, again, you're not tying up a lot of money in this stuff. These rich guys don't tie up money. They don't tie up their own cash. They borrow. Elon Musk, the, quote, richest man in the world at this point, probably not, I don't know, close. He's only rich on paper. He doesn't personally have any money. And he lives in tiny homes. Soros lives in a tiny home, an old one. These guys don't spend money. If you've got somebody driving around in a $200,000, $300,000, or $400,000 car, they're the wannabe rich. They're not quite there yet. They're trying to look like it. There are exceptions to everything, but for the most part, the rich don't want to look rich. Howard Hughes used to walk around in jeans and an old shirt, and he looked like a homeless man. He was eccentric, but rich. Don't judge a book by its cover. All right. There's a lot going on. But don't worry about it. Just know that things are escalating. If the Antichrist is going to have a 7-year peace plan, if you're at peace with everybody, you don't need it. There has to be wars going on for him to bring a peace plan to the table. So you'll see. Well, maybe you won't see because we won't be here. If you're a Christian, we have a pre-trib rapture. We're next on the docket. Now serving number 2,741,000. And we got the ticket that's 2,700,001. We're next. But we don't know when they're going to get through with the people that they're at the counter. We're just waiting. So be ready. Have your lamps filled. Till we meet in the clouds. God bless.